Yes, guys, and welcome to the Sunderland vs Luton match preview. Now, what comes with another game is a new batch of positivity, a new batch of optimism. I know that last game it was a really dejecting result in in a game that we really felt like we needed to win to keep the pressure on, but I can't help but feel still very optimistic, even given the result and the performance in large as well, which was really, really poor. I know that some people have sort of throw the flag in or sort of wave the white flag straight after a result like that, and I can't help but feel optimistic and have my faith just reinstilled after like 24 hours after that game, because you look at the league table and honestly you've got those above us, particularly Burnley and Sheffield United. They've got a couple of really difficult games coming up, and as do we in Luton, in respect to them. But everything can just change so quickly. All it takes is literally a defeat for Sheffield United, for Burnley, a couple of wins for us, and we're in the top two. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely not anywhere near out of the realms of possibility. There's still so many games left to play, but I do agree that we do need to start getting wins under our belt and consecutively as well, and remaining consistent. And it isn't going to be easy against Luton, but again, I can't help but feel positive somewhat. And we have got some positive news from Regis Labrie as well in terms of team news and injuries and stuff like that, but which I will get into. But first and foremost, housekeeping. Hit the like button for me if you're excited for the video, and subscribe if you're new. There is still over 50% of you guys that are watching the content regularly, hopefully enjoying, and you aren't subscribed yet, and it's vile behaviour and it needs to be corrected. I'm only joking. I swear I'm only joking. But okay, right, we're going to get into it. So Regis has done his pre-match presser for the game. He has revealed that Jobe will be okay for it. I'm going to get you straight on there. Jobe is okay, apparently. So for me, he walked straight back into the team. Hands down, particularly against this physical Luton side, which we will get into. Mundle is apparently back in first team training, full contact, or at least he will be. But isn't going to be ready, of course, for this game. Alan Brown is playing in the under-23s, under-21s today, which is great news as well. Regis has spoke of how much they've missed his experience. And I remember, early on in the season, the first few games on the topic of Alan Brown, I was saying that he's our best central midfielder. And at the time, I think he was. He just brings that experience and that calmness in midfield, but equally, he's so positive on the ball, almost as positive as I'm trying to be today. Just every time he gets the ball, he wants to push the team forward. He wants to move forward and create. He's not someone to just go back every time. He does want to create, but he digs in. He's got that motor, that engine on him as well. And that experience, as I say. Now, Regis did, discuss Luton, the way that they play. We know what Luton are. This season it hasn't worked out for them, obviously, but they are generally very direct, physical side. They still can hurt you. There's still quality players in there. Adebayo, who's done it at this level. You've got Morris, who's an experienced veteran at this level, and it always seems to be a thorn in our side. He knows what he's doing. But what Regis has also said, he doesn't want to kind of sort of buy into their game, which is direct, physical style of football. And he wants us to just focus on us and play football and then believe in our philosophy and keep the ball on the ground and play football, which I agree with. However, in turn, in saying that, he's also kind of hinted at maybe a couple of changes here and there, which I think would actually buy into Luton's style of play. Bringing on like a Dan Ballard to try and combat their physicality. But in doing that, if you do drop like a Luke O'Neill and bring him to the bench, you're getting rid of our ability to really play and sort of break the lines from the back and bring the ball forward. And he does that, Luke O'Neill, very well, better than any of our other centre-backs. So you would be cutting that out of our game, and then that in turn feeds into the physical aspects and giving them the opportunity to hurt us. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it would make me feel a lot more secure with Dan Ballard in there in terms of aerial threat. But set pieces, that's a big thing for them. And bringing Dan Ballard on for set pieces and dropping Luke O'Neill don't guarantee us, not shipping goals anyway, because Dan Ballard's been on the pitch plenty of times where we've conceded set pieces, so it's not like a guaranteed thing if he's on the pitch, if that makes sense. But yeah, I am going to show you my potential 11 in just a second. Well, it definitely isn't a predicted at all, and I will talk you through it in a moment. But Romain Mundle, yeah, like I said, he's in full contact, but he's not quite ready yet. Watson still needs another week until he gets into full contact. He did speak about, as well, Regis, he discussed the sort of plays that he used, and don't quote me on this, but this is essentially what he said. It was the kind of meat and potatoes of what he said. Basically, of course, when we saw the likes of Paveda come on, Alexic come on, he brought them on way before Mayenda, and at first he said it might, be sort of like an eyebrow raising sort of substitution. But he needs these players, what he said. He needs these players to get these experiences, in those tough times against teams like Watford, and he needs those players to get these experiences. I know everyone might have wanted Mayenda on because he's had more experience this season, but he said, coming to the back end of the season, all these players, they need this kind of experience. And right now, it might not seem like it's logical to do it. And I do understand that a lot of people are frustrated that it's no time to experiment when we're in the thick of it right now. But we're saying towards the back end of the season, that and in the long term, it's going to pay off. Because these players need the experience. We can't just throw them on 5 minutes at the end of the game and expect them to do something when they don't have the experience. They're not as sharp. So I do get that. But equally, someone like a Mayenda, I think he should have been starting on the pitch regardless, let alone coming on for the last 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was, which will show in my starting 11 or in my sort of wanted. Now, my starting 11, I know everyone is going to disagree with, largely, I think, but I think I just want to try and explain my theory behind it. So here is my sort of 11 I would maybe like to see. There'll be loads of chop and changes that could or couldn't happen, but this is what I would maybe go with, which I know, again, not going to happen. You're going to bitch and moan at me, but just hear me out. So here we go. So we have Patterson in goal. I've gone for Luke O'Nien at left back, which is the big one first and foremost. Luke O'Nien, I just think, Circuit at the minute, and yes, he got the goal, saved us or spared us our blushes, and got us a late equaliser against Watford, but throughout the entirety of the game, he was just sort of out of position, losing the ball consistently. And on that side, we have looked so weak defensively with Sirkin at the moment. As much as I really rate Sirkin going forward, normally he's great, but I think a lot of his forward play was quite poor, other than the goal. And defensively, he just seemed absolutely all over the shot. With Luke O'Nien, yes, he doesn't have the pace. Yes, he might not be as sort of pacey bursting forward as well. But, let's not lie. He can get forward, Luke O'Nien. Obviously, maybe not as sort of well as Sirkin can do when he's in form. But also defensively, Luke O'Nien, yes, he might not have the pace of Sirkin. But whenever we put Luke O'Nien at left back or right back, you always seem to get a 7 out of 10 performance out of him. Do you know what I mean? And it again, because they do have this physicality, Luke O'Nien can be that physical presence as well. I know he's not as big as a Dan Ballard or anyone like that, or a Jobe, but he absolutely can play the physical game. So I wouldn't mind seeing a Luke O'Nien there for this game, because they are so full of physicality, and he does not shy away from challenges and stuff like that. So again, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Luke there. Dan Ballard and Mepham in the middle, I've put them there. Again, physicality. Hume at right back. I put Dan Neil, so I'm just going to drop to the bench. Dan Neil, I think, is infinitely better in that role at the moment. Now, here is where I have just chopped and changed and messed around a little bit. Jobe, for me, he absolutely goes straight back into the starting 11. Lafay in there, Rigg to drop to the bench. I feel like Rigg is looking a little bit leggy. It's something that Regis is kind of hinting towards as well. Not necessarily just Rigg, but that a lot of the players are playing a lot of games. And he said that, a lot of the players need to understand that they are going to get chopped and changed. Because they're going to be absolutely exhausted, and I think Luton they haven't had a game for like 11 days, something like that, which is mental. So they're going to be fresh as a daisy. However, they haven't won a game since is it December, something like that. They've gone on a hell of a run of not winning games, which doesn't mean shit when it comes to Sunderland. Sunderland typically do a Sunderland when someone comes with a record like that. But, getting Jobe in there, Lafay finally in his actual position, even though, again, I keep on referring to the pre-match presser, but Regis was saying that we're kind of sticking with Lafay on the left wing because we don't have a Munderland, we don't have a Watson. But in that one game, I can't remember which one it was exactly, but it was one game where Mayenda actually started on left and Robertson on the right, but throughout the game they were chopping and changing and rotating, and I didn't think Roberts looked that bad on the left. If anything, he looked incredibly unpredictable because he never starts on the left or goes over to the left, and on the right, on the flip side, he is stupidly predictable and very, very easy to read. So to have Roberts on the left, Mayenda with his pace and his physicality, as we keep alluding to, because of this Luton side, and his direct running and his link-up play with Isidore, he'd be fantastic on the right for this game. I've seen people ask for a 4-4-2. For me, that is asking for a combative battle, and we are very open in the middle when we go to a 4-4-2. I understand the counter-attack with Isidore and Mayenda straight down the middle. I absolutely get that, but I think we get walked all over in the middle personally if we did do that. So that was my thinking on this. Again, I don't think it's going to happen in a million years, but that is maybe what I would like to see. But of course, let me know in the comments down below. I know you're all going to batter me on that one. I know you are. But it was just a thought. Just a thought. I know I'm going to be wrong. Lafayette will be on the left. Rigg will be in there. Samed will probably start, which I don't want to see personally in this game. I want us to try and control possession and break forward and not sit back. But we'll see. Anyway, Luton, like I said, poor record at the minute. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. I can see us conceding. So in my prediction for this game, I'm going to go with a 2-1 Sunderland win. I don't think it'll be anywhere near as easy as we think, and I do think they're going to score first. I'm going to go with Morris scoring, and I think it's going to be 2 second-half goals, an Isidore goal, and a Dan Neil goal as well. So that's what I'm going to go with. It'll probably be more dramatic than it needs to be, and it'll piss me right off, but there we go. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Sunderland win. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. But little bit of news, of course. Tomorrow is when we take on Luton, and it's the first game since New Year's Day that I am off work, which is outstanding, and I'm so glad I don't need to slyly watch it at work, and I can actually give you a review straight after the game. However, I might, instead of doing a review straight after the game, there's a chance that I might be able to do a live stream. I'm still very busy tomorrow, regardless of not being at work. But I am very busy, so there's a chance you might just get a review straight after the game. But just keep an eye out on the channel, because you might get a live stream, if I can. So just keep an eye out. But either way, let me know in the comments down below how you think this game is going to go. Do you agree with my starting 11? What would you go with? It's always interesting. Everyone's opinion is different. If you want shit on mine, I'm more than happy for you to do that. But anyway, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. Stay jammy. Away the lads, and keep the faith. Come on.